But even our love is constrained by our own weaknesses and temptations, by our selfishness at times and our histories and shortcomings. So how can we base our life's dignity and meaning and worth and joy on love when we know that even love will fall short time and time again? Our love for ourselves will fall short. Our love for our neighbors will fall short. Even our love for God, or what we hold as highest value, will also fail us over and over. Knowing this and seeing the constraints of human love causes many people to say we must put our trust in God and God alone. But they're missing an important point. God did not stop the tsunamis that wiped out hundreds of thousands of people. God did not stop the bombing and the enslavement of innocent people. God did not stop dozens of rapes and murders in Tulsa last year. God did not stop the man who opened fire at Fort Hood military base this week, killing soldiers and their families. The point is not to put our faith in God to end injustice and violence. If God was going to do this, God would have done this already. The point is to put our faith in godly love, in agape. Godly love is a love that tells us that we are all brothers and sisters. Godly love is a love unbounded but binding. It is a love that calls us to love all creatures of earth and sky. Only a faith in such a love can lead us to a reconciling ethic of love. But we are the ones who have to live it and give it flesh. The Latin word flesh is carne. It is up to us to incarnate that love by giving it flesh and bones to walk the earth, by making it real in our lives and thus in our world. But how, one person asks, can we make such unbounded love real when we can barely manage to love the people who live in the same house with us? How can we hope to make such a love real even when our own community, which is bound together by the Spirit of love, fails us from time to time? The answer is that we have to keep coming back and trying again. Even when love fails us, even when love hurts us, even when love disappoints us, and even when love rejects us. Hafiz says, don't stop playing your beautiful love games. The problem is that we want love to be easy. We want community to be easy. But Martin Luther King taught us that such love is not easy. It's the hardest, most courageous way to live. Jesus died for such a love. Martin Luther King died for such a love. Such a love is not free in the sense of being unconstrained, but such a love is freeing. My friend and colleague, Bonnie Vigard, says that the only way that I know for us to keep our faith in such a love is to continue to tell stories of the times when love has worked, when reconciliation has happened, to remember the moments in our own lives when the renewal of love has been real. We need to hold up these stories so that we can keep our faith in love's potential. We also need to examine together within the bonds of this community where injustice and prejudice and inequality exist in our world. And then we need to consider together how we can bring love to bear. We do this when we volunteer in one of our 3 adopted schools. We do this when we support our house group to rebuild substandard homes. We do this when we help create microcredit banks in villages around the world that allow families to break free from the chains of indentured servitude and deprivation. We do this when we feed the homeless each month, and in hundreds of other ways here in the bonds of this church. We do so knowing that we will fall short over and over again. But we keep trying because we know of no other way to live with dignity, meaning, worth, and joy. So on this Sunday, when we officially close our 2010 Stewardship Drive, I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you who have pledged to support this church for one more year. We've raised close to $1 million in pledges to keep this church going for another year. We still have almost $500,000 more to raise. So for those friends and members who have not yet done your part, I ask you to do it today. There's cards in the pew backs. There's cards out in the foyer. You can go online. To be a part of All Souls is to participate in the bonds of community and the ties of love. It is nothing less than a way of incarnating our highest values. It is an important part of making love real upon this earth. We are bound together by love, by the spirit of love, and by the ties of love. I love you. Amen.